Well, we'll do like a soft opening. We'll do
All right, yeah.
Just a casual conversation. When the butterfly comes up, it comes up.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk for an hour. We can do this for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It could just be a natural conversation.
Yeah.
See how it progresses.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll basically just say your name and say thank you for joining us on the podcast, and we'll go from there.
All right, cool.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's kick some butt. I'm kind of tempted to get water, but I'm fine.
Okay. I am Matthew Jablonski, and thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm super excited to do this.
It's really good to see you, Matt. How's your day going?
Pretty good so far, just having a couple of calls, couple of different interviews, different opportunities heading my way. So.
Oh, right on. And are you based out in California right now?
No, I'm actually in Austin, Texas.
Oh, right on. What's going on out there?
It's hot. It's cold everywhere else, but it's 74 right now.
Oh, I'd take that any day. That's perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only problem is you got the cedar pollen, so I've kind of developed some type of allergies out here. So it's kind of like stuffy nose, sneezing. That's about it, though. So, and my friend, he's dealing with it worse. So he's actually taking medication. I was like, I ain't taking medication. That's not for me.
Like a Zyrtec or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a weird place. Like, this place alone is just weird. Like, from the time zone to the way the sun is to the way it gets hotter in the midday and in the evening than in the morning and at night. It's really strange.
And that's Austin, Texas?
It was Austin, Texas. There's a reason why they say keep Austin weird. And this place is definitely the weirdest place I've been.
I know that my favorite wrestler, Stone Cold Steve Austin, was raised there.
Is he?
Yeah,
what?
Man.
I did not know that.
How did Austin 316? How do you not know that?
There you go. I wasn't a big wrestling fan, but I did know like some of the people, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, that was like when I was kind of growing up learning wrestling.
Yeah. They kind of topped out, I think, in the WWF right around 1998, 99, going into 2000 when we had WrestleMania 2000 on N64.
Yeah, I remember Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, I think Xena. I think it's Xena or Xena. And then Yokozuna, the big fat guy. Oh my God, it's like 300 pounds or 400 or 500 pounds or whatever he was.
He's enormous. No, yeah. I remember Yokozuna. That was a shame. A lot of these guys. And I'm watching a lot of documentaries on TikTok where they attach a cartoon and they're just doing stories of retired wrestlers and what it was like for them being on the road. And I saw a lot of different documentaries like the Hart Foundation telling stories when they were in a bar and doing the finishing move on Vince McMahon, how like Goldust and Stone Cold Steve Austin were in a hotel room one night the night before an event, and that was the day Stone Cold like shaved his head to get his all-time look.
Whoa.
No, it was really cool. And Jake the Snake, how he was like living with Diamond Dallas Page for a while and he lost his snake inside his house. Yeah, and like the wife is freaking out like crazy, and they got two little cats, and they just figured this is not going to work out. All those little stories were pretty much awesome. And my favorite one, honestly, was like with Triple H telling a story about what it was like working with out of the ring with Mick Foley, Cactus Jack. Yeah, that guy's story. I think Mick Foley's story all time, one of the best wrestlers of all time, especially just as a human being. Fantastic guy.
Those voices, the voices that they did and the characters that they portrayed, it paved the way to YouTube. Like if you actually go on YouTube and seeing those different videos and just looking up voices that sound like them, they paved the way for different things, from like looks to remember when, I don't know what wrestler did, but they put their hands, by their pelvis, a crisscross from each other. And they said, "Suck it."
You're talking about D-Generation X.
Yes.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was with the Heartbreak Kid, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. The Road Dogg Jesse James and the Badass Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when wrestling was quote unquote real. We're bashing each other with chairs. Oh man, even the referee out of nowhere came and started stomping on some people. Oh man.
You guys got hurt. Like it was its own sport and its own thing. And I don't even know. I don't want to say $1 trillion industry, but I found out that not too long ago that Vince McMahon is by far the wealthiest sports athlete of all time, because technically,
wow.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous number. It was like 285 billion or something like that the man is worth.
Wow.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
285 billion. I honestly wouldn't even know. You could start your own empire. You really can start your own empire with that type of money.
It's probably 85 billion, but just $1 billion. Like I have a hard time like saving $1,000 a month, and these guys just like, yeah, that's only like 2,000 years of minutes. Not a big deal.
Man, I mean, $1 billion, I'd have my own island. I'd be able to purchase my own island and run my own civilization.
I think you've been playing too many Age of the Empire games, bro. But I do remember, like, what's his name? Ric Flair. I think he retired recently, and this guy was probably wrestling for like 50 years, maybe. Like it could have been longer. There was not controversy about the sport on whether or not it's fake. He made it pretty clear that it wasn't fake. It was just choreographed.
Have you actually been to a match?
I actually did go to my live match. I think it was in 2006. I remember I had broken my ankle, and I went in a cast in 2006. And I remember the Edge was there that night. It was a match in Madison Square Garden. It must have been autumn of 2006. And I wasn't really watching it that much back then because Stone Cold had already retired.
Yeah.
And I do remember that like John Cena was basically like
that's right,
number one guy.
It's probably one of the most popular guys. I mean, they made a meme about him like all over the place. Oh my God. I actually did go to a wrestling match. I didn't go to like a professional wrestling match, but I did go to one, and it's really cool to watch. It's really cool to see the moves that they do, and everyone's cheering on. I mean, nobody's head got bashed in, thank God, but it was still fun to just watch them beat each other's asses.
And that's what I mean, though. Like I'm just going to say $1 trillion industry. I'll fact check. I know it's not true, but just to imagine somebody's worth almost $100 billion, maybe more. It's insane. And we all watch it.
See, when you have like an industry like that, or when you create an industry like that, you can really expand upon it. Like now you have this crypto space and you have the NFTs. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with NFTs, Phil, but these wrestlers can actually just have their own little character, and they can just have the ring, right? They could just have the ring right in front of them, and they can just make it like a picture, and then they can just sell it as an NFT. NFT is non-fungible token, by the way. And they have it forever. But if somebody buys it, then they get a portion of, the purchase. And then anytime somebody sells that NFT, they still get a portion. Right. So you can just expand on it. I mean, the wrestling, think about it. Super Nintendo games, 64 games, video games they went to. There's been 100%. Wrestling movies, wrestling TV shows, wrestling cartoons, wrestling skits.
With the video games with N64, I'm sure it got better after that. They probably expanded it to PlayStation 5 by now.
Actually, I don't know. That's something, it's sad that I don't have a PlayStation 5 yet, but maybe I'll actually get one this year because there's a few games that I actually want to play.
I saw a really funny video, probably on YouTube, where a guy got an Xbox. Oh no, I'm sorry, a PS5 for Christmas, but it wasn't actually a PS5. It was the second one and the third one taped together.
Oh my god, that'd be great. Oh my god, it reminds me when my brother surprised me with Nintendo 64, and I'm like, "What is this? I didn't want Nintendo 64. I wanted Sony PlayStation." And he's like, "I know they didn't have Sony PlayStation, but I got Nintendo 64, and I'll get Sony PlayStation next week." So I ended up growing up with both 64 and Sony PlayStation.
Did you have a favorite game for 64?
Oh man, dude, Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Yeah,
That
that game.
I mastered that game. Not beat it. I mastered that game in 3 days. I got every single thing, every little item that you possibly can think of. And then I did the same thing with Super Mario 64. When I got Super Mario 64, I stayed up for 3 days straight, getting
No,
all 120 stars.
no.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was in some certain games, I was really like, I'm a really great gamer. Other games, no. Like if you gave me a fighting game or a wrestling game, unless it's Super Smash Brothers, I'd get my ass kicked because the button combinations are just way too hard.
There was only like two or three games that really just kept me in front of the TV with N64. It was Super Smash Brothers, yeah, Donkey Kong, and Battle Tanks.
Donkey Kong was a good game. That was like an adventure game. Like they did a really great job on that for 64.
That was a lot of fun, that game.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, the 90s were fun, huh?
The 90s are amazing. Like honestly, it's probably one of the best times. I mean, there's Nirvana. I mean, there's the style of the 90s, and the video game culture was just blowing up then. You
Yeah,
know, you can
game
never
consoles at
you,
home.
64 is Sony PlayStation, and then before Sega. Sega
Sega
actually,
was the best.
yeah, I mean
Honestly.
Sonic.
I played.
So many video game iconic characters came out in the 90s.
I remember that there was this one Sega Genesis game where it was like Sonic and Knuckles, and
Oh yeah,
like, but on the top, it was able to actually like open up on the top where you could actually
absolutely.
combine a second game into,
Absolutely.
and then you
That
could
was
actually
Sonic
use
and Knuckles and Sonic 3.
right. So like little games like that, those were great.
Here's a little fun fact about that. That game had something very specific in it, and no other Sonic game has come out with it. And it was the actually invention of not supersonic, it was like ultrasonic. And it was like ultrasonic, you had to get the regular emeralds, and then in the next game after you beat Sonic 3, you have to get the super chaos emeralds, and then you become honestly looked like Super Saiyan Sonic, because when you had all of that, he jumped higher, he was faster, and he was all silver instead of gold, and he had the 8 emeralds surrounding him. And it's the only time that you actually see that type of Sonic, because no other game has ever able to duplicate that.
Do you think they would include some of those things, like maybe in the movies? I haven't seen them yet.
I mean, they definitely did. I don't know if you've seen the movies.
No, I haven't.
I don't know if you want me to spoil it for you.
You're not going to spoil it. Jim Carrey's my favorite
Okay.
being ever.
So
but
they did create Supersonic. So Supersonic was in the movie, but like, ultrasonic, like I don't know. I really don't know, because that would be really hard to, actually recreate. I actually can't believe that it's not in a game yet. I mean, I didn't play the new Sonic, but I hear it's like good. But yeah, it's hard to capture, the 90s aspect and nostalgia that we grew up with.
Yeah, it was two-dimensional until all of a sudden when I guess 64 came out and then PlayStation came out. Now we're going into a whole world of 3 dimensions and
Fuck that. Now we're going into, soon we're not even gonna have to wear virtual reality glasses. It's just going to be in our eyeballs, and we're just going to be able to press a button, and we're going to be in virtual reality.
What do you think? Like it'll be a contact lens, maybe?
Yes. I think it's contact lens, maybe glasses, or maybe something that's like going into your brain, and then you just press the button or you think about it, and you're just completely cut off from the world and go into virtual reality.
Like the brain gets hacked?
Yes, like the iPhone in Futurama. If you ever seen Futurama and you ever seen that episode,
I haven't seen the iPhone Futurama episode, but I know the show.
Oh my God. So the iPhone was actually the iPhone. They put the iPhone in and then they start looking at different things like holograms come up and they're looking at messages and advertisements. And then while they're talking to people, advertisements started to come in.
Pop-ups and things like that.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
my
no.
God. And it was developed by Mom Corp.
Oh, all right. So
So it's kind of like Apple, but it's mom. And then she was all nice and everything in the commercials. And then in real life, she was a
all
real
right.
pain in the ass.
Got it. There was something else you said that kind of just clicked in my head because I can't remember specifically, like, Sega. I don't. They're no longer like with us. I don't think. But
Well, Sega, I mean, they make the games, but obviously they don't make consoles because, the Dreamcast kind of took a bit the dust.
well, who owns them now?
I don't know who owns Sega. I mean, they might just be their own company still, but I think they just make games. They definitely don't make consoles.
Well, they would still have their logo or label on it.
Yeah, they definitely still have their logo. Even in games, they still have their logo.
I remember seeing it somewhere in a digital platform, but I don't think it was on PlayStation. It was on something else.
Oh, yeah, they sold out. I mean, honestly, all video game companies sold out. I'm actually quite surprised console games still exist with how powerful these phones are.
I was thinking that too. Like if there was some sort of not an app, but you know how we got the plugins for your iPhone or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I mean, we had that exact same plugin for like your headset for listening audibly. You would think that we'd be able to just like, have a complete console go around your phone and just like play.
Yeah, I mean, the graphics and everything, but the problem is there's no controller with the phone. So unless they build a phone that has a controller inside it or kind of changes into a controller, that would be like maybe the future of gaming, which is actually a pretty good idea.
That or you got to just like use your phone as the console, but maybe go VR just so you could see.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, VR is really taking off, like this whole metaverse and people buying fake land. I mean,
yeah,
it's so crazy to me that people will actually pay money for digital items that they'll never be able to receive in their hands. It's just online and it's just for show. And it's just, looking at it online and admiring it and then, putting it in their fake land online. Like you think that real life would be more better than online.
I think it just shows that, what exactly is real. And it just, changes the standard of reality a little bit where it's like, was ever any of it ever true?
Yeah. I mean, who's to say that this is real? Who's to say that we are real? And when we die, we could just wake up in a different body or as an alien or a different creature. You don't know. You don't really know.
No, I mean, it's really hard to imagine that this is the first time we were ever alive and we're still,
Right?
like we're in beta mode, like
Yeah.
as an existence, as a consciousness or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, our consciousness could have been transferred from, the future, the past. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know if we don't know nothing. There's so many unknown things about human life and the planet and just matter around us. We just don't know. But we just keep discovering.
And that's the other thing. Just imagine like in existence, if now has always been now, like the time before we were actually conscious, you would imagine we were somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, we could be anywhere. Like we could really be anywhere. Like I'm honestly waiting for the next step of technology in our lifetime. Hopefully we get to see it. Like I'm looking for teleportation. Like I'm looking for the next mobile transportation. And in order for like when you really think about it, how can teleportation happen? How would that be? How would you be able to pull that off if you really had to think about it scientifically?
Well, there is a way, but we just don't know what consciousness is, so we can't do it like theoretically. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Dan. He's a medic, combat veteran, and he does on-set film, nurse, medical EMT independently. So we were just chatting, and it turns out like he's a brilliant dude. Like he went to school in Alabama for science, engineering, and we had like a serious discussion on on teleportation. So
Yeah.
from what I remember from the conversation is that we do have the ability to like shoot an atom like across space, and I guess to whatever we target. It does like there's a receiver, I suppose, on the satellite that we hit where the atom did get there, and it's less than 10 minutes. But if that's true, then we do have a way of transporting every atom in our body directly to that exact same space in that amount of time. The problem is if we do that basically and just turn ourselves into atom size.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're matter, so there'd have to be a way to shrink matter, or try to get the matter in a capsule and then shoot the capsule or shoot the ball of energy. And then, when you get to the receiving end, you become you again. That's really very hard, because like it's kind of like going from science to magic.
I think they were playing with the idea in the Willy Wonka movie with who is it? I don't want, oh God.
We're talking about the first one, right? The first one. I didn't see the Charlie one.
I'm thinking of Gene. I want to say Gene Wilder, but I can't remember if that is his. I
thought that was him.
That should be him. Like I'm just going by memory, and everybody, if you're listening, like my memory sometimes not the most reliable source, but let's just say Gene Wilder, because remember that one little kid who was all like in front of the television.
Yeah,
he's a little cowboy kid,
Yep.
Little shit stain. So he basically like turns himself, lights, camera, action into a billion little pieces, and becomes the size of basically of a borrower. And that was pretty much the end of the story. But when he got to that spot, he was conscious and aware of exactly who he was, how he got there, yada yada, and was only like right there in the room. But there was a certain amount of time where he had to like actually go from that point, completely vanish, just like that, and then embody, put himself back together in that exact same space.
I remember the ending of that movie, and that ending of the movie, like I would never want to be in that kid situation where you're just in a little capsule and you're just flying up out of nowhere, and you're just flying out of the factory and you're floating through the sky, and then you have this guy who's saying that he's going to give you the keys to the kingdom pretty much. But being there and floating, that's scary. The flying in general is really scary, but just floating really softly and there's no wings whatsoever, you're just pretty much holding on to not much space around you. It's pretty wild.
I think they really did in that movie. There was so much more about a chocolate factory going on in that movie, like there was a lot of science and theory behind like almost every single scene and every act on like where they were. I guess not even theoretically, but scientifically and practically where these things could actually be developed and become a part of society.
I mean, Oompa Loompas probably could be easily developed.
I don't know anything about the theory of Oompa Loompas, because that was kind of, that was way out of left field. I guarantee you when people were watching this movie, they're like, we've never seen this before. What does this have to do with candy? So that's the other thing. It's just maybe, I don't know, they had sort of like a theory about, I don't know, the old pygmy tribe that used to exist. I want to say they were in Africa, because the continent of Africa is very mysterious. They had the smallest people on the planet at a certain point in history. They had the fastest, they've had the slowest, and they've had the tallest. Like that continent has a variety of every type of man that's ever existed.
That's interesting. That would be interesting to visit, because imagine, the different culture that's there and the different ancient ruins and all that. Like I honestly haven't really been to an ancient ruin site, and I am dying to go to one. Like I'm going to travel the country and at least go to one before I die.
I forget where, but I believe there are pyramids in the United States of America. I just don't remember which state they're technically in.
I imagine they would be in like Mexico or New Mexico. Like imagine New Mexico, like around there. I can't imagine they would be, in any other state.
I know they had one I think they did actually have one if we count it, Alaska.
I mean, we do count it. It is a state.
Yeah, no, there's I do believe there's a pyramid in Alaska.
Huh.
Yeah, like the way the pyramids were set up, when you actually take like true north, I guess maybe thousands of years ago when the Earth's axis was a little bit more of a tilt on the truest of north, that's when they actually built it. That was like a spot on direct hit. But I guess when you cross like the pyramid, because it actually is, it's basically a compass. It does go directly west. And I think if you follow that line straight across at the right angle, or maybe it's north by northwest, it actually crosses the state of Alaska. And somewhere on that line, there is another pyramid directly under it.
See, I think the pyramids were built for something else that we haven't discovered yet. Like I think, I have a theory that humans aren't meant to sleep.
You have a theory that humans
aren't meant to sleep. We're forced to sleep because we have to recover our bodies. We have to recuperate. But thousands of years into the past, we didn't need to do that. We didn't need to do that because something to do with the pyramids that they helped us. They helped us be able to stay awake. They gave us the nutrients, or they did something for us. So we had the energy, so we didn't have to sleep. It makes my theory, because apparently they had slaves. Like, how are those slaves going to stay up, doing the pyramids and actually building them? Like, something had to happen to change our, thing from like going from like being an ape to now. And then where did the apes come from? Where did aliens come from? Like, there's just a missing piece of the puzzle that I feel like we're not being told. And that's why everyone's just thinking about, different theories. But yeah, I feel like that we're not supposed to sleep. We're actually supposed to stay awake.
Like, I like the way I feel about it, honestly. From what I've seen, how accurate and beyond intelligent the builders of the pyramids actually were, and the reason they did it, not really clear. But if we were to actually do it, say, like, I don't know, maybe 2,000 years ago, around Christ's time, or even before that in Moses' time, just the science of like having the angle of a 3-mile long ramp just to hit of a 200-ton stone or something like that, some that weigh over 1 million pounds. Like, how do you lift that? Like, there's no
right. Like, how could you, like, and push it up, and then you have to use much more force because you're pushing it up a hill as well.
And just to do that and come up with the idea to do it, I don't believe that there is enough manpower, especially back then on Earth, that could have done it, unless we literally were at once upon a time standing, and we were giants once upon a time, averaging like 100 feet tall.
Giants, or we were given abilities to be able to do that, for a certain amount of time. But if we were given abilities, or maybe they're wearing something, so they only can use those abilities to push the rocks up.
It would have to have been done with vibrations of some kind, or like some sort of matter.
Yes, vibrate. That's what I feel like. Yeah, vibrations. That sounds a lot better.
Some sort of vibration to provide some sort of levitation frequency, where it just all of a sudden, like, it's like skipping a stone on water, where it becomes almost featherweight.
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
But hey, one day, if we become conscious and we're no longer in this body, and we just become one with the universe, then we know at that point. I'm not gonna get gray hairs about it now.
But after everything, and after this everything life, imagine we are a spirit and we could roam around to different times and different years. Like, where would you? I got low power on my phone. Where would you go? Like, is there a specific time period that you would actually like to see what really happened?
Of course, like I think about things like that all the time, where it's like, I really wish, like the time stone, for example, if you just had the ability to kind of just use that power, time stone, and just be like, where the hell did my keys go? Little things like that. Then just like really play with it, like all these unsolved murders that you see.
Yeah.
Who actually did write the dicks on the card with Netflix? You know, it's just like just to like, you know, skip to the end.
Yeah. I mean, it would be cool just to see how everyone actually lived their own lives, you know, without technology, you know, without different things that we have now. And it'd be cool to go into the future to see, you know, where the hell our society is actually going to end up and how you're going to be.
Like the ghost of Christmas future, just to go on a ride and see the
future. Just go
not
on
just yourself.
See.
No, the spiritual world, like a spiritual realm, like there's a lot of theories about it, because like even from the dawn of civilization, there's always been spirituality, culture, and the common denominator where a lot of these parallel one another, just different in description or time. It just they got more in common than they don't. So you got to imagine that might be the realm of where we come for before we were actually conscious of where we are now.
I just hope that we have our memories and we have everything, you know, just our memories. Like if we have our memories and we remember the things that we did, you know, when we were alive or when we were on this plane of existence. Like, I just hope that that's pretty much, you know, what happens, at least wherever we are, wherever we end up.
I'd like that too. You know, I remember, like, I got just as many good memories and learning experience memories that, you know, they shape you into who you are, but that carries you into the future. You learn from it. And you would want those experiences so that way you don't repeat your mistakes wherever you go in the future.
Welcome to Happy Corner. This project strives to make safe housing areas for stray cats at an affordable price. It's so easy to put together that even your children could have fun making one. Help keep cats and other animals safe with their own little Happy Corner homes. You can help this project become a reality by donating to the GoFundMe page. Happy Corner homes are a great way to show those animals in need it's okay to be happy.
Absolutely. But I mean, you wouldn't probably really do any mistakes, because if you're a ghost, you're just floating around. I mean, you have no sense of smell, you have no sense of taste, you have no sense of, you know, you're honestly just in the now, like straight up now, all the freaking time.
I'm sure we're going to see each other and recognize each other. It's like, oh, hey,
pleasure.
I'm sure we'll be a way if we have a sense of sight. We'll probably have the other senses in a form just to kind of like, you know, be, I guess, in the now, you know?
I would hope so. I mean, you know, obviously we'd have sight because we would be able to, you know, see everything, but maybe we wouldn't be able to do anything else except do it telepathically with our minds.
Right.
Or maybe with other spirits, but then that's where possession comes into play. So if you really are dying,
that stuff is real. Like, I mean, we're like, people are getting hacked, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's some spooky stuff. It's like you really got to have updated firewall with your personal iOS, your personal, I guess, I don't know. I had a good acronym for your personal iOS. It was like the letter I, omnipresent spirit. I think it was internal omnipresent spirit, where that's your personal iOS.
I like the term though, the omni. I like that term, the
omnipresent. That's basically what you were describing, being omnipresent. You're always in the now. You're there everywhere at once.
Man, imagine when Elon Musk creates, he's got something that he's trying to create to put in intimate on their, like, technology, pretty much technology into your skin. You know, that's pretty much the next wave of technology is when it's in your body. And then, you know, you're just pointing with your finger and you just magically have a hologram in front of you, and then you're just pointing at different things, and that's how you're able to chat with people and this and that. Because, you know, as human beings, we want everything instant. You know, It's the same thing as selling. If you can make people comfortable with your product, they'll pay for it.
Sure.
If you can skip whatever work that they don't want to do, and it just gives them absolute satisfaction, forget about it. You're a billionaire and you don't even know it.
Maybe. That's the other thing. No, we're not going to talk about money because it's like, you know what? You already have all the money. First of all, that you're ever going to need in life. It's going to be used as a tool with what you can handle right now. And you do have a lot of money coming your way. You just got to honestly prepare yourself to be able to handle it.
I'm ready for it. Let's go.
Facts.
Let's go.
I mean, we're getting like very scientific, but I know you told me that your favorite movie was The Butterfly Effect.
Yes.
How come?
So before that movie came out, I haven't had the best childhood. I was picked on when I was a kid. I wasn't as tall as I am now because I'm 6'4". I was always skinny, was never fat, can never get fat. It's just I have really good genes. But I was always picked on when I was a kid. And then, I always had different choices that I made. And even though when I was like a teenager, I always had it in my head that, I wish that I could go back and be the person that I was younger and do different things. Okay. So when that movie came out, I really identified with it. I was like, holy shit, I've had this idea for years. It's one of the very first ideas that I had in my mind I actually saw on the TV screen. And I'm just like, holy shit, like, wow, like, damn, like, and I wasn't into writing. I was just watched TV, wasn't even into acting. I when I saw like cartoons and stuff on the TV, like I always pretended to be them because I found it fun, right. And then when I looked at actors on the TV screen, I was just like, I'd like to be on the TV screen to do that. Like I said that when I was a kid and I never told anybody. I never told my friends, never told my family. I just kept that as, it's something that I wanted to do. I didn't think about doing it in the future. I never expected to see it in the future. I could tell if I told my younger self, you're going to be, an actor on TV and you're going to be in this and you're going to be that. I'm just going to be like, huh?
It's been surreal.
And, it's just, it's pretty. So that's why I really identified with that movie. And Ashton Kutcher, that's like the first thing I've seen Ashton Kutcher in that was actually a serious role. And it wasn't a funny role. And that's what I was just like, wow, like, I was not expecting him to portray such a character. I was like, wow, he did a fucking great job.
Yeah, like I think right before that, he was doing movies like, Dude, Where's My Car?
Right, he was. That's why I was just like, Ashton Kutcher in this movie? What?
Yeah, he really became an actor. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because he was always a comedy. I mean, he was always a comedic actor, and then he was in that 70s show, for years, but he really branched out. He was one of the very few people that branched out into not just comedy.
From that show specifically, yeah, I think the actress who played Donna, I remember she was in Orange is the New Black, and
yes, she did. Yeah, she was in Orange is the New Black.
Now, like Ashton Kutcher's current wife, she was the co-star. I think was it Jackie from that 70s show?
Okay. Oh yeah, she was. Yeah, she was Jackie.
Yeah, like she's from Ukraine, and she got on the show at 14 years old, and that's what you get for lying. You become.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I was like, wow, lying is serious. And then when I was in LA and I was on these different sets, I heard that the lies that people told, and I was just like, wow, lying is a thing out here.
Like, well, and then there's like fact check. They didn't.
Yeah.
Well, that's Hollywood, I guess. But you know what? That's not such a. As an actor, I could respect that because it really showed a lot of guts and a lot of passion and commitment to really want to do it.
I mean, to take the chance and say, I'm this and I'm not really this, and I'm, it's like.
When you got nothing to lose, it's not.
You got nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose except being banned from Hollywood.
You're gonna ban somebody for wanting to work? Give me a break.
Pretty much. If you lie about their age or they lie about their height, Hollywood is very finicky, very, very finicky.
Well, I mean, that's a $1 trillion industry.
Oh yeah. Oh, sure.
It better be specific and in particular because we have standards.
Yeah.
But I know like that actress. She did the Book of Eli with Denzel Washington. Not too
Oh
long
yeah,
after
I
that
heard about
show.
that. I heard about that.
That was fantastic. And shortly after that, there was probably a bunch of movies. I remember one of her best performances. She was in The Black Swan.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that was in 2009. I want to say 2010. It's been a
But
minute. No, these
I did
actresses,
the other. I
they
did see
branched
the
out.
other. I did see the other butterfly effects. They were not as good. They were just not as good. It's like watching The Crow.
Was
Like
it a
the first
spinoff?
Crow is iconic. It's memorable. I've seen the other few, but honestly, the first one is the best one. Just like Butterfly Effects, the first one is the best one. But there's like they actually did a few different takes on it.
Like, what's that on right now? Was it a spinoff or a show or?
No, the Butterfly Effect actually like they did different movies, but they did it in a different way. So if you've seen the movie, you know that it's every time he takes a picture. Every time he sees a picture or every time, he wrote it down in his notebook, in his, journal, back when he was a kid. And then, as he got older, he looked through his journal and then he just
He's
went
right
to that
there.
timeline and, he changed his life without even trying, without even just like, not expecting it. He just did something. He was like, it really felt like it was there. And then he woke up and he had the dream girl, the hot blonde. He was a sorority, lived in college, but he wasn't himself because he cheated. And, his brothers always, like his sorority brothers, always gave him the answers. And then even when he took the test, and then, when he had sex with with the girl again, he was just like, she's like, oh my God, it's different. But she gave him key information that he was able to later use to help him, kind of get him out of sticky situations because he always wanted to make things better. And he always kept reading the notebook. And when he read the notebook, he kept losing what he wrote because he was going, not further back. He was going more and more into the present.
Okay.
So, that obviously at the end of the movie, there was only one picture because you said it only shows in the movie that you can do it through the notebooks. But
Yeah.
when he saw a film of like the reel of, what he can do. And in the end of the movie, you see his final choice. Like every time he tried to be with the girl, he just got fucked. Or his friend just got fucked and he couldn't build a future with the girl because she was the key catalyst that
Like I remember
not meant to be together.
He blew his own hands off. In one
Yeah.
reality, his mom had lung cancer in another reality.
Yeah. So,
Bond went into like deep prostitution in another reality.
yeah. So
It was sad, because he ended up like in the end, spoiler alert, he just thought it would be better for everyone had he never existed at all.
that was actually that was the alternate ending. It was the alternate ending. And I remember seeing that commercials like Butterfly Effect has an alternate ending and it's going to shock you. And I was just like,
that wasn't in
I
the
wouldn't
original?
call it shocking me, but
Because that's the one I remember the most vividly was I don't remember the previous ending on how it all just kind of panned out.
so spoiler alert again for the previous ending was he went back as when he was a kid when he first met her. And she kissed him on the cheek, and then he was just like, if you ever see me again, I'll kill you and your whole damn family.
That's right. I remember that now. Traumatized the kid forever.
Yeah, she traumatized her. Just like, Mommy. And then she ran away. And then that made her choose her mother over her father because obviously when she chose her father, she wanted to be close to Evan.
And I guess we could just only leave it up to imagination where they are now.
Yeah. Only leave it up to imagination.
It's kind of trippy, because like I heard theories that the butterfly effect was like a true theory, but maybe it's just unproven.
Honestly, I guess we're never really going to know unless one of us goes throughout time. But it has been portrayed in a lot of different TV shows. I mean, Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it when I think Homer Simpson went back in time and then he killed one thing and then he went back to the future. And then he saw like they turned into bugs. I think it was Treehouse of Horror. It's one of those episodes. And he went back in and he was just like, okay, I'm not going to squish anything. And then the fly was going around him. And he was just like, stupid fly.
Whack.
And he's like, uh-oh. And then he goes in and then they're like giants and he goes back in time. He's like, okay, this time I'm not going to do anything. And he's like, ha, ha, achoo. And then he sneezes and then he gets germs in the animal and the animal just dies and falls over, then falls over another animal, then like that. And it's just a chain reaction of everything dying. He's like, oh no, what have I done? This is bad. And then he goes in.
That becomes his past, no matter what.
And then he goes back into the present and he's like, everything looks fine. And then they're just sitting down eating. And then you see Marge just stick her tongue out to eat the food, going all the way down out of her mouth and just come back up. He's like, close enough.
But okay, dude, like you're a really knowledgeable guy. So, and I guess based on what you said, like you never really imagined you'd ever be an actor. So,
No.
What'd you want to be when you grew up?
Well, that's the thing. I never really wanted to be anything. You know, I never really had a passion to be anything. I didn't really have anyone that I looked up to. I didn't really, you know, when you're a kid, they're like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's like, yo, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. There's no desire for me to be anything, you know? Yeah. And, you know, obviously the go-to answers are like the fire, you know, oh, I want to be a fire, you know, I want to be a police officer, you know, like a lawyer, a doctor, you know, and I just didn't have those ambitions whatsoever.
So now that you're an actor, like, is there anything that you've done on your resume that kind of just said, you know what, I could do this forever?
Honestly, acting has just changed my life. I don't know about anything. Like I wouldn't be able to do the same thing over and over again because it's so boring. You know, I have to do something new. You know, the one thing that I haven't acted in, and I really would like to do it, hopefully in the future I get to, is to have powers. You know, have a character that has some type of telekinesis powers or some elemental powers or in some fantasy show. You know, if that's like I guess that would be a dream role of mine.
Yeah.
And I don't mind being an evil guy. So if I was the evil guy that everybody hated, I'd be okay with that because, you know, I can actually be evil in a movie and nobody would fucking see, oh, this guy's real evil in real life because it's just a movie.
No, well, they've heard you here on the podcast, so they know you're a stand-up dude.
Yeah. Until they see me as a serial killer, most evil. Then they're just like, I don't know about this guy.
You could see yourself being a good, well established actor, serial killer.
I was in Most Evil, so I can easily play the look. You know, the look is, you know, it's just looks. You know, you can portray anything that you really think about it. You know, you just study the roles and just. I remember when I was in high school, I always they always called it the devil eyes. And my friend was just like, and I got the idea from, there was a movie that, I forgot what movie it was called, but it was this guy. And every time he gave these eyes, he just like looked away and he just went stared at like that. And I forgot what movie it was, but I think it was definitely in the 90s.
We'll get back to the fans on that one.
Was it not another teen movie? I don't know. It was
not another teen movie with the eyes?
No, it was definitely not.
No, that was like Chris Evans' big break, that movie.
Yeah, that was a great movie though. But yeah, so I gave so when I was on in gym class, and when I was out at school and I was hanging out with my friends, I was like, oh, give them the devil eyes. So I didn't have the hair that I had today. Like, I have really long hair now. I had like Eminem haircut. Like, I had no hair. I looked like Eminem before Eminem was a thing. So I just gave like a mean look, like.
Oh, okay. Dead glare.
Dead glare. And it was just like, whoa, like, okay, all right.
Not exactly the Wednesday Addams, but just a matte dead glare.
Yeah, just a dead glare. So,
all right,
so I used that, so I just used that, and it was kind of, that role was interesting because it was like my first time working with a child.
What was that like? Was it a movie or a TV show?
No, it was a TV show. It was actually the season finale of season 4. And I didn't know that was going to be a season finale episode. I was like, oh, that's so awesome.
Well, what was the name of the TV show again?
Most Evil.
All right, so season 4, Most Evil. Was this your first time like working as an actor in a show?
No, this was not my first time. This was my first time probably in like a TV show. This was probably my first TV show, like as a main character, because I was on there for like 15 minutes. I was the last segment, I think, of the show. And, my first time working with a child actor, it was different. It was weird. I've never worked with a child actor, but, I just went with it. I just like, excuse me. It was just easy to do because it was just a blank stare. It's reaction shots, really. Okay. But her getting on my back, walking through the woods, like, I didn't know how heavy she was going to be. And, she really trusted me to actually be on my back and, walking up into the woods and stuff. And it was like, wow, like, I was proud of myself that I was able to do it.
Well, you're 6'4". I mean,
Yeah, but I don't have the strength. I don't have the strength. She wasn't heavy though. She was a thin child. So.
So in the show, what'd you play? Like the protagonist and kidnap the kid or something?
Actually, I was a serial rapist. So I played Jack Spillman. My target, I think, was 14, 15-year-olds. And it was 3 different segments. And they called me the Butcher. So in the first scene, you see me carrying a pig's head and slicing it up into different pieces. And then, they did a really great job on the effects because the blood looked really real and it was going down. It was like, what? And like, when I saw this episode, I was like, wow, this is pretty awesome.
So where can the audience see that TV show right now?
They can see it. You probably have to search Investigation Discovery because that's what it was on.
Oh, right.
The ID channel, and the show is Most Evil, and then they could see it season 4, the last episode.
I did a few jobs and worked on a couple episodes of like a Crime to Remember on.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, but that was like, just like simple background stuff and people don't show up. So I get quickly promoted and I got to drive a Studebaker from 1969 and the kid I went to the same conservatory with ended up getting the serial killer role. And
oh, wow.
Like in the early days, I never knew that these jobs were available. And believe me when I say, dude, like I applied to every single agency in the city of New York. I mailed in to every single known agency in the city of New York, plus casting directors, my headshot and resume, like back in 2012, 13, and never got one response, not one.
Wow.
And it was like literally over $1,200 worth of headshots, envelopes, and stamps.
Yeah, you actually had to do that back in the day because technology didn't exist.
Well, we didn't have like the backstage we do right now. Back then it was a newspaper, and shortly after that upgraded to a magazine. And then soon after, eventually they developed a much stronger online presence like they do now. It's great.
It's a lot easier for actors to actually get roles, but at the same time, it's not. Like, I don't know how California is now, but when I was there, everybody was there to be an actor. Like, oh, what did you do? I'm an actor. Oh, why are you here? I'm here to get famous. Oh, what did you do to get famous? Nothing. It's going to come to me. And I'm just like, and it's every single person I met. And I'm just like, why? Like, why would you not do the work? Why would you just stand there and be blah and expecting it to come to you? You know, I'm just like, why are you here?
Right.
You know, and I looked at the statistics, and it's like every 6 months, many people leave and many people come, and it's just people drifting in and out of LA. And I'm just like, man, this is a really crazy place, but the energy is just true there. I've never been to a more creative place than LA. I'll tell you that much.
Where are you originally from?
New Jersey.
Oh, all right. So you're a Jersey kid. You go out
I am a
LA.
Jersey kid.
So you go out to LA. Did you have an agent when you first went out there?
No, I didn't even think about acting, man. I was just out there because I've always wanted to live out there. Yeah, I went out there when I was in my early 20s. My cousin lived out there. And
Okay.
when I went out there, I told myself that this is the place that I want to live. It was such a beautiful place. I was in Santa Monica looking at the Pacific Ocean. It was even winter time, so I didn't even get a chance to really, explore it in my early 20s. But I said that I'm going to come back here one day and I'm going to live here. Acting wasn't in my brain whatsoever. I just wanted to live there because it's such a beautiful place.
So what was it that made you go to Austin, Texas?
The people.
Okay.
Austin, Texas I've been to a lot of places in the country, and this place has the nicest people that I've met so far. They're very friendly, and every time that you walk somewhere, you see it. You see it all around you, or at least they are to me. Like, maybe because I remind them of old Austin because of my super long hair or the super look, or maybe I look like Jesus Christ and most of them are Christians. I don't know what it is. But they just, the energy is just really there, and they're just, they're really nice and they're really awesome. So they might be weird, like really, really weird, but at least here for a year, and we'll see how it plays out. And my next place that I would like to check out is Hawaii, because I've heard about that place and I've never been there.
If I went to Hawaii, I would just want to live there to train jiu-jitsu with Jason Momoa.
There you go. There you go.
The only reason why I would go to Hawaii, and that's just to train at his gym.
I mean, I imagine that, Hawaii is kind of like secluded from everywhere, so I wonder if they even get the same information. Like, I wonder if they really care about S technology over there, because they're on an island. When you're on an island, it's a whole different ballgame.
I've seen a couple different Polynesian documentaries where like some islands literally are their own country, and they're tiny, the size of Staten Island, just out there. You have to check your passport. There's one grocery store at the center of the island, and you take ATVs all around.
That has to be fun.
I would imagine that's probably the greatest life, because you could just honestly create anything you could possibly imagine.
I mean, and free coconuts for days, right?
Not for nothing. Yeah. Coconuts are delicious.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome, Matt. And usually when we wrap up a show, starting to get into the habit of the right words at the right time. I read this book called The Right Words at the Right Time when I first started out acting, and I read the whole, almost the whole book. And you had The Right Words at the Right Time, written by, I think it was a woman named Marcy. She's friends of mine on Facebook, but I can never remember her last name, if it's Thomas or Thompson, like Marcy Thompson. So she interviewed countless people, I guess during the late 90s going into early 2000s, the Clintons, the Bushes, Shaquille,
oh, wow.
Mel Brooks, very well-established people who have, a house in LA, I'm sure. And somewhere along their journey, especially when they were younger, in their early 20s, sometimes younger, they always had somebody during that early stages of development, the right words at the right time. And I'm curious, Has anybody ever, as like a mentor, ever said anything to you which were the right words of the right time that's been with you after all this time?
You know, there is somebody that told me there's a lot of people that just saw me when I went to LA. They saw me like, oh, you look like a model. Like I had such great energy that people were just like, they wanted me, for whatever this, for whatever that, auditioning, doing anything. And then as I started to write, this one person said, enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. And you know what? That really stuck with me for, till now. Like I obviously remember till now. And that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm just living my life, letting the universe take me wherever it's going to take me. And I'm just enjoying the ride.
You're just enjoying the ride. Ah, the phrase of the day, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody who maybe is like, struggling right now, and based on your experience, if there were any words of wisdom that you could give to them, what would it be?
I would say it's all about the positive mentality that you have and that you show off and you project onto people. Because if you're just going there with a negative mentality, then, you're going to have that sadness. People are going to pick up on it. And also, don't seem desperate. That's another advice. Don't seem desperate, because there's so many desperate people, and people that have a higher mentality can feel that desperation coming off you. And that's something that you don't want to project.
Well, you're here, ladies and gentlemen, inside the AFC podcast. Yeah, Matt, how do you pronounce your last name?
Jablonski.
Jablonski. What? All right. Before we wrap up, what nationality is that?
Polish.
That's Polish.
Yes.
The ski. I should. All right.
The SKI.
SK. I should have just said that. Anything with a ski at the end.
Right.
I didn't want to assume and and just be cliche.
Yeah.
What, Matt Jablonski, brother, this is fantastic. I'm really excited to work with you, dude. You have an amazing story.
Oh my God, it's gonna be so much fun when we do, Clark. Oh my God.
Yeah, spoiler alert, guys. If you haven't checked out our website, go to www.astoriafilmmakers.org. When you click on the donate button, you'll see all of our campaigns, and we're doing a puppet show that I wrote by accident. That's another story.
I got to hear that one. Shit.
I will tell you that story right after we wrap up. But all right, sorry. So basically, I'll give you the 30-second version. So basically, back in 2008, for those of you who know my story, I had to go to college just for health insurance. And within a year, acting was really starting to, kind of be my thing. I really enjoyed it. And my last elective of pretty much my time at Orange County Community College, I took another art class, and it happened to be the puppet course, because that's where everybody in our drama club was pretty much going, and I was going with the flow. And I did the workshop, and my final at the end of the year, I did not in any way, shape, or form understand the assignment, because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to write. I knew what to perform, no problem. I knew we had to do a final thesis performance, but we had to write something, and I had no idea what to write or do. So it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and my class starts at 3 that day, and I don't have 80% of my grade done. So what do? I'm sitting in my theater in Orange Hall, and I literally just sit down for 2 hours straight, and I write that musical puppet show, Clark Is, as we have it pretty much today.
Wow. So you haven't edited it whatsoever?
Very little. I added the mice to the production, because that was basically a separate mini puppet show I did a year later, on my first internship at Bill Diamond Productions. But I combined them both, and then I always just kept it on the shelf. It was what it was. And then all of a sudden, it's 2017, and the musical is kind of just tapping me on the shoulder saying, hey, produce me. So I've been going to the comedy club a lot, just sitting down in Astoria at QED, enjoying the Saturday night, Friday night performances. And this one group called Betty and Griff, shout out, they just were this musical act where they were just the weirdest two duo musicians that I've seen ever. And I share the script with them, and they wrote all the musical soundtracks for Clark Is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're going to be producing that musical, ideally in the near future. So recently we connected with the Astoria Musicians Collective to get like an updated version of the soundtrack. We'll be able to record the puppet show separately. And what we're actually doing, everybody who's tuning in, the Astoria Filmmakers Club is going to be producing podcast plays. So it's basically theater radio, like we had 100 years ago, but we're going to modernize it and use it as a crowdfunding tool. And if you really enjoyed that podcast, you could donate directly to that campaign so we could shoot the movie.
That'd be dope.
That's it. Yeah, like that would be dope. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy this podcast, please go to www.astoriafilmmakers.org. When you click on donate, you'll actually see keep the podcast going. We're going to pay it forward. The more money we raise, the more guests we will have come on the show. And if you are an actor, a filmmaker, writer, producer, somebody in the industry or aspiring to be, why don't you sign up? Tell us your story and we'll get you on the show. And Matt Jablonski, I think that's a wrap, baby.
That is a wrap. Thanks for having me on the show. It's been fun.
All right. Ciao for now, everybody.